See at the party, Richter.
Hi, and welcome to See What the Potty Richter. Aaron here again. I know it's been a while, and I said we were going to release the next Eraser episode the week after the last one, but I'm a busy fella, and, sometimes things happen. In this case, the thing that happened was that I got lazy and decided to replay Red Dead Redemption 2 instead, Anyway, I'm taking a quick break from tying people up and leaving them on the train tracks to record this. So yeah, this is part one of our way too detailed summary of Arnold's 1996 hit Eraser. This was the first movie I'd actually written a summary for, and apparently I thought it would be best to include every single detail possible, apparently. We do have some good zingers in there, though, so anywho, here it is. All right, enjoy.
Your luggage.
Okay, so are you ready to go through the movie now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we start off with the opening credit sequence of someone preparing to kill a bunch of people, I guess. I don't know. The first thing I noticed was that this movie has an awesome cast, including a fellow named Michael Papajohn. Which was like awesome.
Oh yeah, by the way, I do have a list of I like go through movies at the end and look at all the names and find funny ones. So I have a great list of names at the end. We
Sweet.
can go through. Yeah.
But okay, so he burns Vanessa Williams' picture as part of his preparation, but she hasn't been introduced yet and isn't in trouble yet. Huh. So I don't know if that was just like a weird continuity error that seems like it would have been an obvious fix, but I don't know. Anyway, so the movie opens at a house where two guys, who I'm assuming are in the mafia, are just like beating the shit out of this guy and his girlfriend and pouring gasoline all over the house. And I like how they have That's Amore by Dean Martin playing in the background, just in case you're not sure whether they're Italian or not.
Yeah. Well, I thought that guy was like Latino or something to begin with. And then I was like...
Eldon?
Yeah. And then I was like, wait, is that guy even Italian? So I had to wait for the credits. And then his name was,
Pastorelli. Yeah,
something very Italian. I'm like, all right, well, there you go.
I wonder if Italians could possibly be find that offensive. Like if I was Italian, I'd be like, "Mamma mia, I can't believe my ears. It is so offensive." So,
Maron.
Anyway, Arnold comes in, just murders the shit out of the mafia guys, and basically stages a fake crime scene for the dude and his girlfriend.
Yeah. He, like his plan, he kills the first guy with the freezer door, and then the other two guys that are there, he's just like, fuck it, and just jumps out and starts shooting them and does like a barrel roll. I'm like, you snuck your way in there. You're like, you're pretty good at this shit. Like, you gotta have a better plan than just running in there.
Got lazy with it.
Yeah.
So I think he's in the witness protection program because he was going to testify against the mob. But Arnold sets up fake crime scene to make them look dead, and then blows up the house for good measure, which you obviously recognize the mob informant, because when I saw him, I was like, holy shit, it's Eldon from Murphy Brown.
Is it? Shit, I didn't even...
No, he's Eldon in Murphy Brown.
I have not seen that show since the 90s, so I didn't recognize them from Murphy Brown.
It's her painter housekeeper guy or whatever he is. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, Eldon from Murphy Brown. His real name is Robert Pastorelli, and he's the one that I mentioned to you in the text that like Erica and I kind of found some weird stuff. I forgot to mention to whoever's listening that we're going to try out something new this week, where we thought it might be fun to talk to someone that didn't grow up watching Arnold's movies. So she's actually seen them for the first time. Not sure if it's going to be a recurring thing, but for now it should be interesting just to get a perspective on the movies from someone that doesn't have any like nostalgic attachments to them. So for this movie, I was able to get my girlfriend Erica to talk with us, and she'll be joining us later. But yeah, she found out some just weird stuff about this dude. Anyway, back to the movie. So Eldon from Murphy Brown, whose name in the movie is Johnny, but we're just going to call him Eldon. Him and his girlfriend are rescued by Arnold, whose name is John Kruger, but it's Arnold. So he blows up their house, which I guess wasn't in effect. They actually blew up a real house.
Oh.
That says that, according to IMDb, was constructed by a crew just for an explosion that was an exact replica of a house in Queens. So anyway, he blows that bitch up and then basically puts them back into witness protection and tells them he'll be watching them.
Yeah. My question on this was like, if he's in witness protection and he just, like without his girlfriend knowing, goes back and gets the Osobuco, Like, they didn't take him very far, you know? He's like 2 towns over. Like, that's not good witness protection stuff, you know? Like, take him to Phoenix or something.
That's probably why he keeps getting found.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure where that takes place, but it doesn't seem very far. And then also, I guess he's in New York later in the movie, because so I don't know. Seems like the witness protection program is like, you know,
corrupt.
Well, yeah, I guess. Okay, touche.
That too, but
all right. Yeah, they just don't do it like not a lot of forethought. Just like, I don't know, send him, 2 towns over, and nobody will ever find him there.
Exactly. Change his name to Sheldon from Murphy Brown. But so the next day we see Arnold going into the U.S. Marshal Witness Protection offices. And I like how there's that like quick scene of his coworker with the fake IDs and how like he quickly points out just to show like like it's basically like a lazy way for the writer to show that Arnold knows his shit.
Yeah, that's the exact note that I have. Like, oh shit, he's good. Could tell a fake ID immediately. I was like, he's the best.
And then we're introduced to Robert DeGuerin, who is Arnold's mentor and is played by James Caan, who apparently just plays Sonny Corleone in everything he's in. So they talk about the mission he just completed, and Arnold tells him that he had to do a little bit of improvisation, or as he calls it, improvisation. The way he says it was weird. I don't know. But to finish the job, and then James Caan tells him that their boss wants to speak to him. So then Arnold heads up to the office where his boss, played by James Coburn, briefs him on his next assignment, which involves the senior executive of the Cyrez Corporation, who are major defense contractors that do top secret weapons research. So they're selling weapons to bad people, I guess. I don't know. But apparently the Cyrez Corporation was originally named Cyrex Corporation, but I guess there's actually a real company called Cyrix, which is a tech company. And so they made them change the name by threatening legal action. So they had to dub over every mention of the name with the new name and then digitally change all the logos in post-production.
I didn't know that. That sucks.
Anywho, this was when we were introduced to Lee Cullen, who's played by Vanessa Williams, who, according to IMDb, was originally suggested for the role by Maria Shriver.
Oh,
and I was actually curious what happened to Vanessa Williams, like why she stopped acting. Because I was like, I watched something, well, damn, I haven't seen her in anything. But then Erica looked it up, and apparently she's been in a ton of shit after this. It's just mostly like TV stuff, like Ugly Betty and Desperate Housewives and stuff like that.
Yeah, even when you Google Vanessa Williams, it autofills and it fills in with American singer, not actor.
Yeah. That's also something that she said that she's had a successful music career after all this too.
Yeah, she does sing a song that happens in the end credits.
But
she was the first woman to win, first black woman to win Miss America. And then I guess some pictures that were some private photographs that she had nothing to do with.
Oh, they were private?
Yeah, this was 1982. That I guess the black and white photos dated back to the summer of 1982 after her freshman year.
Did it say when she got the Miss America?
83.
Okay.
So the black and white photos dated back to the summer of 1982 after her freshman year at Syracuse University, where she worked as an assistant and makeup artist for Mount Kisco, New York photographer Tom Chappelle. At the time, Williams stated that it's not Chappelle like Dave Chappelle, it's Chiapel, said that, quote, he had a concept of having 2 models pose nude for silhouettes, basically to make different shapes and forms. The light would be behind the models. I was reluctant, but since he assured me that I would be the only one to see them and I would not be identifiable in the photographs, I agreed. Yes, he had also gotten another model to agree with this. So basically she did that, and then some asshole had the pictures and sold them to Penthouse, and then
so it wasn't him, the photographer.
It doesn't say exactly, but it's pretty fucked up that these private pictures got sold.
That sucks.
And they made her resign from being Miss America.
Yeah, I remember that. Was she able to sue them? Because that, I guess if you don't know who did it.
Wow. Miss America organization responded by giving Williams 72 hours to resign. That's fucked up.
That sucks.
I don't know. But also, in contrast, Hugh Hefner, the publisher of Playboy, was also given the opportunity to publish these photos, but turned it down, stating, quote, the single victim in all this was a young woman herself, whose right to make this decision was taken away from her. She wanted to make this kind of statement that would be her business, but the statement wasn't made by her. Which, I mean, duh. Like,
I like
obviously.
how he comes out the good guy in that.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's, considering it's 1982 or 83 or I guess 84 when this happens, that's like, you didn't hear a lot of shit from dudes in his
Yeah.
position back then. So, yeah, that whole situation's pretty fucked
Yeah.
up.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It fucked up her career for a little bit.
Yeah. Derailed.
Derailed, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, she was married to Rick Fox, and I think I mentioned that in the intro. So
Yeah, I think
wasn't wrong on that.
yeah, Erica actually knew that too, that she's married to Rick Fox. Yeah, because she watches the soap that Rick Fox was on or something like that. She's like, "Oh, that's the guy from the soap's wife." I was like, "Oh, cool."
Rick Fox is on a soap
And then she
opera?
told me Rick Fox. Oh, never mind. He was in the movie Holes.
Oh, huh. Yeah. Now, for those who don't know, Rick Fox was a former basketball player, played for the Lakers, mainly, and some other teams. As a part of those Shaq and Kobe teams, won championships, and after that, he's like big into e-gaming, and he started his own like e-gaming team, and he's kind of,
What does he play?
I don't know, NBA 2K probably. No, he doesn't actually like. He's not a competitive gamer, but he's like
in charge.
He started his own gaming team.
Nice. So, back to the movie. Yes.
Yeah, we should probably get back
Okay.
to that. Huh?
So Vanessa Williams, she goes into Cyrez, her company, to get the info they need. She's wearing a wire and is kind of being guided through the whole thing by a few FBI agents, who include John Slattery from Mad Men, which I still haven't seen, but I hear good things about it.
Yeah,
You ever seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it twice. He's amazing. Also, shout out to my friend Brian, who's the nerdy version of Roger Sterling.
Is that his name in the show?
Roger Sterling is his name in the show. Yeah.
Okay. Which he also didn't have white hair, which I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, I know. He's also he plays Tony Stark's dad in Marvel movies.
I was just watching Civil War today, but yeah. So there's 2 other FBI guys in there, including a dude that I probably would have been played by Don Cheadle if the movie come out 10 years earlier. Just kind of looks like his older brother, Ron Cheadle. It does. I was like, oh, that guy totally would have been Don Cheadle. But anyway, she gets the info she needs copied to a disc, and then makes a second copy, which had to be done by a giant robot arm. Do you know what that robot arm was for?
No.
Okay.
Robot-y stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, she ends up getting stopped by security and is told she has to go up and speak to the head of the corporation, played by Farmer Hoggett himself, James Cromwell, who just always plays a crazy dude, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, he was in Babe. I don't know. I don't remember what he did.
Yeah, exactly. He's in 6 Feet Under, too. He is her crazy husband at, like, the last season.
Oh, yeah. And also the name of the fake British businessman name that Jimmy McNulty gives in The Wire when he goes and visits that whorehouse is James Cromwell, which I always found amusing.
Really?
Yeah.
We started watching that show. We didn't finish.
Yeah, it's great.
So he shows her security footage of her copying the disc and then basically tells her that he's selling weapons to people that he shouldn't be. And then he kind of happens to notice that she's wearing a wire. She tells him she's working for the FBI. He responds, fairly reasonably. First pointing a gun at her, then shooting himself, which I love how, like, it had the wind open, like when he blew the window open behind him, the papers all went crazy and it made it just way dramatic.
Yeah, that scene's probably like one of the coolest scenes in the movie, just because it's unexpected and it's just pure chaos after that.
The papers, that's very, very, the 80s, they're a throwback to the 80s.
Yeah, I guess, when you're in a plane and something opens, everything gets sucked out. So
yeah,
when you're in a skyscraper, which is high up, and the window opens, everything gets sucked out. It makes sense. It's just physics.
So she runs into the building with the guards chasing her and jumps in the FBI van, but couldn't they have just stopped the van and been like, fuck you, security, we're the FBI?
Yeah, probably. But
which I thought was fun. Like, why are they running?
What are they gonna... I don't know. It's kind of weird that, what are the security guards gonna do? Can they actually
that's what I'm saying.
Grab somebody?
Even if they do grab her, all the FBI's got to do is well, you know what? We're FBI, so let her go.
Yeah.
But anyway, Vanessa Williams gives the FBI the CD evidence disc, which they basically tell her will prove her company is selling weapons technology, and that's high treason. High treason, which is bad, I guess. By the way, do you know if there's like such a thing as low treason?
No.
Like if selling weapons tech is to terrorists is high treason, then like maybe low treason's like if you sold them like Super Nintendos when they're bored or something. I don't know.
Like selling an Xbox at a store like a day before it's set to be released in this country.
But so they tell her they now need to keep her safe until the trial and are putting her in the witness protection program. And then here comes Arnold. He tells her they're going to change your identity and location, and she's like, "What? Like hell no!" And basically says, "I'm going home," and walks out.
Yeah, and Arnold is just not impressed with this fucking amateur hour going on.
Exactly. You know? So he starts like basically scolding them. Yeah. Like he asks them first he asks the FBI dudes if they made it clear how dangerous everything was going to be after she helped them, and they're more or less like, well, we didn't have a case without her. And so he's kind of like, well, it's a lot easier putting her ass on the line than yours, isn't it? And then that scene right there is where I kind of wonder if maybe they were trying to use this movie to transition him into more serious action movies, because like up until this point it kind of has like an enemy of the state feel to it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling watching this movie, but a shittier version of Enemy of the State.
Yeah, exactly. But then you hear him deliver that "put her ass on the line," and I remember he's like not the greatest actor, and it definitely works better with like cheesier stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't actually know if he's a bad actor. Maybe it's just like that English isn't his first language. Like, do you think like if you did like a serious movie, but it was in what is he speaks is it German, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if it was like he's speaking German, and maybe it would be amazing. You're like, oh my god, this is beautiful. But like the silliness of how his accent can sound is definitely more noticeable in the serious movies, whereas it might help with like a cheesier one like Running Man.
That's a good question. I don't know. Are there any movies he actually did in German?
I doubt it. I don't know. He isn't. From his book, he likes America a lot. So
yeah, that's true.
He doesn't really go back there too often.
Well, I mean, he's from Austria, but
well, then I was thinking, like, is it actually the accent, or is it that he just cheeses up everything he does, and that's kind of the way he carries himself, just kind of like a cheesy guy?
Or is it at the point now where like that accent is associated with, you know, like muscle bound guys, and you couldn't take somebody who's like talks like that serious, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a lot easier to put her ass on the line than it is yours. Like, it's just, I don't know. Just yeah.
So we go back to the FBI offices from there, and then Ron Cheadle and his partner are dropping off the evidence disc. But the dude that takes it from them is dirty as fuck, so he switches out the disc with a different one, and then calls him up and tells him he has it.
Yeah, he gives that like smile to the guy, like, yeah, I'm not doing anything shady over here.
Yeah. So from there we go back to Vanessa Williams, who's just getting home and notices a couple of FBI dudes in their car just smoking cigarettes while watching her. So she goes inside, takes the second copy of the disc out of the compact that she was hiding it in, puts it in her computer, but it says that she's unable to access anything on it. So we also find out that the bad guys are monitoring her computer and now know she has a copy of the disc.
Yeah, and later on she brings up like, it's unhackable, I tried, and then all she did was just put it in there and click like run software, and it didn't work. She's like, all right, I give up. It's like, okay, I know you're such a great hacker. Anyways,
so she calls her friend up, who I'm pretty sure works for a newspaper, and her friend tells her to hang on to the copy because as long as she's got that, they won't kill her. Meanwhile, we see the FBI dudes who've been burnt to a crisp in their car, and then some other guys running towards her house, one of whom has like a burn or some shit on his face that I don't think is ever explained.
No, he just makes him look evil, so
yeah,
that's how we know.
So, back in the house, Vanessa Williams tells her friend that she has to go when she hears a door creak upstairs, but it just turns out to be her ex-boyfriend Daryl, who let himself in because Daryl has boundary issues. So
yeah, Daryl's a fucking abusive like ex-boyfriend, you know? He just like, she's like, I broke up with you, and he's like, I was worried about you, so I just showed up at your house, and I'm apparently taking a shower. Like,
exactly,
that shit's weird.
So, meanwhile, Burnface and his crew are still outside and about to shoot them with their high-tech gun, but before they get a chance to, a party van rolls up. A delivery guy gets out of the van with a bunch of balloons and then heads toward the front door. By the way, when he pulls the balloons out of the van and is just walking up to the house, did you read the Let's Party logo in Arnold's voice?
Yeah, let's party.
When it says let's party, exactly.
Yeah, it's more of a Rainier Wolfcastle.
Is it?
I don't know. It sounds like something Rainier Wolfcastle would say.
So Arnold has his balloons and rings a doorbell, and Daryl goes over and answers it. Bad guys just start opening fire with their fucking Duke Nukem guns and just blow Daryl away while Arnold's like, get down! So Arnold, he grabs Vanessa. They start running through the house as they're fired at, which just completely destroys the house. He turns over a refrigerator, and then they hide behind that while the guy shooting at them searches for them with the gun scope, like an X-ray gun scope, but like he can't see through the fridge for some reason.
Yeah, it looks through walls, but it doesn't look through fridges, and also he doesn't notice that a fridge is sideways. So
yeah,
I don't know how these things work.
Apparently that gun's kind of real. Like it was supposedly based off of real technology that the army was working on. It's a handheld electromagnetic pulse rifle, or like basically a railgun. And the production notes, the director is quoted as saying that railguns are hypervelocity weapons that shoot aluminum or clay rounds at just below the speed of light. He said they added the X-ray scope, but that a large-scale version exists in limited numbers on battleships and tanks. Oh. And they have incredible range.
He did mention that in the movie.
Okay, that might have been from the movie then, I don't know. But
Arnold does. I mean, like, if the producer knew it, then I don't see why it wouldn't be in the movie, so...
Well, there's actually an article that I found specifically about the gun from the movie and how it's like basically almost a reality minus the X-ray scope. And there's like a video of just the Navy just shooting through like a bunch of it's crazy gun. But that was from like 2016, so it still like only goes on ships. And then there's like another video below that one of these crazy fuckers that made their own homemade railgun, and it's basically just a bunch of white dudes, which was shocking. Just like shooting their homemade gun at cars. Yeah. But anyway, Arnold and Vanessa are hiding behind the fridge when the bad dudes launch this grenade thing in the house that falls on the ground and then pops up, shoots drill bits in every direction. And one of those goes like straight into the fridge, like through Arnold's hand, which was a part of the movie that I remember watching when it came out, like when I was younger. I remember him just like pulling his hand out from the drill bit. So the bad guys sneak in the house. Arnold breaks the gas line, sets the thermometer heater, and then they both bail. House blows up just as bad guys get inside. Meanwhile, Vanessa and Arnold escape in his party van. So as they drive away, she bandages up his hand while telling him about the gun that the bad guys were trying to use to kill them. She mentions that she didn't know her company had finished the gun yet, and that the company is connected with most government agencies, including the one that Arnold works for, probably. He tells her he's going to hide her and that no one will know where she is except for him. And this whole scene of them talking in the van kind of made me think of Daryl. Like, if he could have somehow seen how little she was bothered by the fact that he died, maybe he could have moved on, you know?
Yeah. She's like, oh, Daryl. Yeah. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's just like, too bad he got shot with a railgun and not like a time machine gun, you know? At the end of the scene, Arnold says, he's like, trust me, which I guess was supposed to be like his big catchphrase for the movie, according to IMDb. So I guess now he shares a catchphrase with Aladdin? I don't know. Like, I was talking to Erica, I can just imagine him flying around with the princess singing A Whole New World, and he's like, a whole new world. 1,000 voices I never knew.
Do you trust me?
But princess. I don't know what else he says. I can't.
All you gotta do is jump.
Oh. Genie, you're free. Okay. Anyway. So from there we go to the shady guy from Cyrez, whose name I don't know, so I'm just gonna call him Chuck. He's talking to another shady government guy who appears to be like a senator or something. So Chuck tells the shady senator that Vanessa Williams has a second disc, and of course shady senator is like, get it back no matter what it takes. So Chuck from Cyrez tells the senator that VW, which I'm just gonna call her now because it's easier than Vanessa Williams.
Well, we could call her by her character name, which is Lee, but
okay, well Lee, you know.
Or we could not.
So anyway, he tells the senator that Volkswagen called her newspaper friend, and the senator basically says to kill that lady too. So we find out that the senator dude is actually the Mr. Undersecretary Harper, which is something high up. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The scene ends with the undersecretary breaking the original Cyrez disc.
But he breaks it towards him, so the pieces fly into his face like an idiot.
That makes sense. I didn't even know what it said. He's like, ah!
Yeah.
So next we're a farmhouse or something, and Vanessa Williams, Lee Williams, and Arnold Schwarzenegger are burning all her IDs and important shit. And then Arnold tells her that they might take out her identity, but they can take her freedom, or like basically something like that.
Some William Wallace shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They might take your identity, they'll never take your freedom.
Anyway, so
yeah,
she says they burned everything she has, but then he takes and possibly burns like her St. George necklace for some reason.
Yeah,
Which doesn't. There's no point. I can't see any reason behind doing this besides using that sweet line. Now I will protect you.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point. Is like, you don't need him anymore. I am your protector.
Exactly. It just sound like the scene from Captain Phillips.
Look at me. I am your protector now.
You don't need that sissy saint anymore to protect you. And then I feel like this is where maybe like a love scene would have happened if they'd included one.
Yeah, which I think I touched on this in the intro. Cool that, not every American movie needs like a fucking love interest. But B, the fact that she's black makes me curious.
Yeah.
What was that the reason why they didn't introduce it?
Well, okay, so the video of the Japanese press conference that I said I found, Arnold Schwarzenegger says that there wasn't a love scene or relationship that was developed because it didn't fit with the movie. He's basically said that the character was supposed to be protecting her as a government agent, and he's supposed to be a good guy, so it wouldn't have looked good if he's rescuing people and then he takes advantage of them when they're vulnerable just so he can get his dick wet. Which he actually said that too.
He said dick wet?
No, he didn't say that. Oh. I cannot have my dick getting wet just because I... But anyway, the problem I found with this is that I found another piece of trivia that says that they originally filmed a romantic ending, but it didn't test well with test audiences, so they changed it.
Racist.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of contradictory to what Arnold said. So I'm not really sure which one's true. Like, I maybe think that like what Arnold said is actually some of the feedback that they got from the test audience.
Yeah, he's like toeing the line.
Yeah,
weird.
So next day we see Arnold dropping her off in Chinatown in New York. He gives her a new set of IDs with a new name, a credit card, and a beeper so he can reach her if she's in trouble. He says if he beeps her, go to Central Park Zoo. And he gives her a gun and tells her he works alone, so if anyone comes up to her and says that they're with him, to fucking smoke their lying ass.
Yeah, also, a little weird that he's like, the lady he has him staying with, she's like, she was a witness against the Yakuza in San Francisco. But they're in like Chinatown, so I don't know, it's kind of mixed messages there. Because Yakuza is Japanese.
That makes sense. Maybe he thinks that, maybe she is Japanese, but then he thinks that, they'll never search for her in Chinatown.
Oh.
Yeah.
He is the best. So.
Exactly.
Okay, my bad.
And then she's trying to like tell him otherwise, like the Chinese lady's like, no, you don't understand. You're Japanese, they are Chinese. They'll never look for you here. Anyway. So then a little while later, she's making food and sees Undersecretary Harper on TV saying that the Department of Defense using private contractors is totally cool. They didn't mismanage no funds. So basically it's like, it's my money and I'll buy guns if I want to. Yeah. So Arnold meets up with Sonny Corleone in a cafe, and Sonny tells him that someone's been murdering witnesses, and then they kind of figure out that there's probably a mole inside the witness protection program. James Caan then tells him that they have to relocate 3 witnesses, which include one of his as well as Vanessa Williams, and then Arnold kind of reluctantly agrees but insists that they move James Caan's witness first.
And of course, Arnold, since he's so good, he immediately spots the
the
guys watching them.
Yeah. So they board the plane headed for the first witness, and 2 other FBI guys tell Arnold and James Caan that Vanessa Williams' newspaper lady friend was killed. One of the FBI guys with them then asks Arnold if he's taking care of, like, are you tired of taking care of scumbags? And then for some reason Arnold's like, yeah, but in your case, I'll make an exception. Which is just kind of rude. Like, you just met the guy and he works for the FBI. Why are you being a dick?
Yeah, well, the guy was being a dick too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a bad first impression. But
immediately after that guy's like, who's this guy think he is? And James Caan's like, he thinks he's the best in the game. And I gotta say, I agree with him. Yeah. So, I guess if you're the best in the game, you can make fun of people.
That's got to be at least like the second time that someone said that, because I'm pretty sure the guy that he pointed out the IDs said the same thing to the guy that asks him, who's that?
Yeah.
the best guy around. But so the next scene, we're near the house. James Caan assigns everyone a team, tells them which way they get into the house, and he says that him and Arnold are going in through the front door. When they get to the house, they notice that the window on the front door is broken, and they enter with their guns drawn. They split up to search the house. Arnold heads upstairs, kills some fucking guys. James Caan busts into a room where a dude with a gun is holding his witness. The guy recognizes James Caan, tells him he's early. James Caan shoots him in the head. I think he says, you're late or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have it written down, so.
But like what I said before, it kind of bummed me out that they ruined the twist that he's a villain in all the trailers and promotion, because that scene could have potentially been like, oh shit, he's bad. But it kind of like loses any sort of weight because of how they promoted it. But anyway, so James Caan ends up shooting the witness, and then I guess basically suffocates her while he's pretending to give her CPR as Arnold enters the room. But wouldn't it have been kind of suspicious if he's administering CPR for a gunshot wound?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, depends on where she's shot. Because usually, like, CPR is just pumping blood. You know,
Okay.
If your heart stops, it's pumping blood. And if you can't breathe, it's just getting air in there. It doesn't really, like, wake anybody up from death or anything.
Yeah.
Which movies usually do. But also, I think she's just shot in the gut, and I don't really see why doing that would help. Especially if she's losing a lot of blood, and he's just pumping more out, you know?
He's a genius.
Yeah.
So as Arnold and him are talking, the guy that Arnold called a shithead on the plane plants a picture of Vanessa Williams on one of the dead guys and then pretends to find it. James Caan tells him that he's like, we have to contact her too. And Arnold's like, this is 1996, man. She doesn't have a fucking cell phone. So they have to go to her, you know? Then he's like, she's in Atlanta, she's in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he lies to them.
But yeah, because he immediately knows something's up because he's the best. That's why he lies.
Yeah.
Like, she's in Atlanta.
I keep forgetting that he's the best. That's my problem.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
he immediately knew.
So they're back on the plane headed towards her, and then Arnold is just fucking chugging water like those steroids gave him cottonmouth or something, because damn. Like, I was just like, holy shit, he is chugging that water. But James Caan is giving a pep talk to the rookie that came along with him. And then Arnold kind of figures out he's been drugged, so he sits down, pages Vanessa Williams, which is just like the most 90s thing I've said in a long time.
Hits her on the two-way.
So Arnold figures out that James Caan is the one that drugged him, kind of passes out. James Caan shoots the rookie because he's too nice, I guess. I think he was gonna phone someone else.
Yeah, he's not in on it.
Yeah, exactly. So they trace Arnold's phone call, figured out that Vanessa Williams is in New York City. Arnold wakes up. James Caan tells him they're headed to New York City, and he's also gonna, frame him for killing the rookie, being the mole, like everything basically. I don't get why after they got her location, why don't you just kill Arnold when he's knocked out? Because you basically just gave him a quick nap and he's all rested up now, so you're kind of fucked now. Yeah,
I figured it was just like, I don't know. They realize she's in New York, but they still need like him to kind of
help find her.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched this movie like a couple hours ago, but I was thinking the same thing, and I don't remember exactly why, but it was something along those lines.
It kind of seems like because they don't know exactly where she is, but he does figure it out later. So I'm going to go through all this real fast before I do any like notes on it, because it's just the plain part. Anyway. But so he tells Arnold that they're selling weapons for them, sweet dollar bills, and tells Arnold that he can cut him in if he gives up Vanessa Williams. Arnold contemplates it for about a second, then responds by, throwing a knife at his head, which he blocks. Then opening up the emergency exit, blowing up one of the plane engines by throwing a chair through it, which I guess was his way of saying no. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But he throws a parachute out of the plane, jumps after it, then ends up catching up to it, pulling the cord. James Caan, instead of letting him go, decides that he's not done being a dick and forces the pilot at gunpoint to turn around so he can slam into Arnold. Which was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and these okay, all right. So here's the thing about this. I assume those pilots aren't in on their scheme there.
Yeah, especially because he had to force him to do it.
Yeah, and they gotta fucking get a gun to their head and then go back and try to fucking hit this guy with a plane. And then they land. So what happened to the pilots? Did they die and James Caan, fly the plane the rest of the way? Because maybe he was like ex-military or something. Or like, what what was their plan there?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. But so Arnold notices, starts shooting at the cockpit until he shoots out the windshield, and then they swerve, just barely missing him. He gets blown sideways, all tangled up in the parachute. He starts plummeting towards the ground, and then is finally able to disconnect it and deploy the backup parachute, like just in time, slams right into the roof of a car in a junkyard. So yeah, I just wanted to get through that real fast, but because there's a couple like trivia things. But first off, it's kind of awesome when he goes through the engine. Like I remember that being a part of the advertising. It was in the commercials.
Yeah.
And then apparently that was Arnold actually doing the stunt when he goes flying out of the plane, which is kind of obvious because the camera is basically focused on his face the whole time, and they didn't have like that face changing technology that they do now. It wasn't actually like an actual plane, but so that the production notes say the first unprecedented stunt required Schwarzenegger to fall 65 feet. So basically they just switched the angle of it. Okay, it says it falls 65 feet in a vertical descent and perform a backflip in mid-flight. On Warner Brothers Stage 16, the largest soundstage, the fuselage of the plane was constructed and the actor was strapped into a descender rig. Beginning with Kruger's desperate struggle to hang onto the door of the plane, the shot continues as he lets go, backflips through the exploding engine of the plane, and then drops off into a free fall. No stuntman has ever accomplished a backflip during a drop like this, but Schwarzenegger managed the feat 7 times to get the shot. On screen, aided by inventive camera angles and special effects, Kruger appears to drop along the length of the fuselage and past the flaming engine, but no wizardry was necessary to recreate the reality of the film star clearly performing the stunt himself. He actually tells it's like a 15-second story. You can just... Oh, wait, I gotta unplug this again. Sorry. Here. Just gotta stop that. Okay. This is him talking about it. It's kind of funny. Oh, I guess I should. Can you hear this? Hold on. Actually, I'll just do a share screen. That work?
The worst thing about the whole thing is that when you do a stunt really well, you hang out there on the plane is hanging down vertically, and you drop down 120 feet, and you go through the flames, and you're scared, and you dive down and do all your gymnastics, the acrobatic kind of things that you have in you, and then you successfully land, and the director comes over to you and says, "You look too scared in this take. We cannot accept this, you have to do it again." I say, "I was scared. What do you think, diving out of this thing and going through the flames? I was scared." He says, "Look at the monitor here. I think you look too scared. I think this is not true to the character. You would be much tougher than that." And I had to do it over again and over again because I looked too scared. So those are always the debate moments when we then get into some arguments and say, "I don't want to do it again. You have to do it again. You look too scared. It's not believable." So those are the kind of things that are sometimes very frustrating.
That's the Japanese interview, but I also like the way he keeps saying, "You look too scared." So there's also a trivia bit on IMDb that says several stunts went awry during production, including one where Arnold Schwarzenegger's hair caught fire, which I couldn't find a source for that on anything besides IMDb, so I'm not 100% sure if it's true. But if it is, I'm assuming that it probably happened while they were filming this scene.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So after he falls from the plane, he starts skydiving down, trying to catch the parachute. Apparently that wasn't him. It was just some real footage of the stunt double that was all tangled up in a parachute.
Ah, it's probably Danny Epper, the other one of my dad's friends.
Does he do a stunt skydiving stunts?
Maybe, but he's known to double. He's like a big dude, so he's known to double other big dudes. I think Arnold before, so it could possibly be him.
By the way, him doing the skydiving stuff, and then when he's pulls a ripcord, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he pulls a ripcord and he's just hanging out before the plane turns around, just looked so unnatural, and just the way he was just sitting there super green screened, and then the face he makes,
he's like, "Whew, get out of that one."
Well, no, yeah. I think I have it saved. The face he makes when when the plane's coming at him, that face right there. That's the face when the plane's coming at him was just great. And then I like how he's like finally able to get his parachute going when he's only what seems like a couple hundred feet off the ground, but it's okay.
Yeah, because it gave him enough juice in order to not die.
Yeah, exactly. And then I like his little combo with the two kids after he lands in the junkyard, which was great. It's like, where is this? Earth. Welcome.
Yeah, those two kids were the best.
That junkyard scene is a great example of how like innocently stupid kids are.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt bad for them because he gives them a parachute and $50 in exchange for their dad's truck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insured, I hope.
Hopefully, because I'm sure that wasn't the most pleasant conversation when they told their dad what happened. They're just like, but Dad, it's okay. We got $50 for it.
Yeah. And a parachute.
Yeah.
Which would be super sweet to have as a kid in theory, but actually, because you ever do that thing as a kid where you jumped out of a tree with like a garbage bag or like an umbrella and you're like, this will handle it. And then
but
it never
doesn't.
Yeah. Imagine having like an actual parachute.
But it still doesn't work.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. But I mean, the idea of it's cool.
I like how basically Arnold's character won't take advantage of vulnerable women when he rescues them, but he's totally fine fucking over a couple little kids.
Yeah. Well, he probably would bring the tow truck back at the end.
You would think
Sorry,
so.
I'm a federal agent. I needed your truck. Something we'll never know.
Well, we actually do find out that. But okay, so next scene, James Caan, a guy is telling him that they have a few places where they might be able to find Vanessa Williams, but James Caan ends up figuring out that she's headed to the zoo, so they head there. At the zoo, Vanessa Williams is waiting there while some teenagers are fucking with a tiger.
Yeah. What the fuck was up with that?
I don't know. I had something longer about that, but I was just like, it basically turned out into like, fuck teenagers.
Yeah.
So, burn-faced guy that was shooting at her before and walks up to her and tells her that he's a U.S. Marshal.
Wait, that was Burnface guy?
Yeah, that was burn-faced guy.
I didn't even notice. I thought it was just random dude, random henchman.
No, it's that burn-face. She's like, where's the Austrian oak at? And old burn-face is like, oh, he's on his way, but he sent me to take care of you in the meantime. But, she ain't dumb, and she kind of tricks him by asking him to show her the secret handshake. Reaches up to shake her hand, and she just fucking plugs his ass. Takes off running. Anyway, Burnface walkies James Caan and says that Vanessa Williams shot him, and James Caan tells him to find her, but don't kill her. He also tells the zoo security to get everybody out and close the zoo. So as he and his men are walking through the zoo, they spot Vanessa Williams and start running after her, but then Arnold comes barreling up in the tow truck, and they start shooting at him. So in the truck, and they get all in there, and they just fucking Sonny Corleone the fuck out of that truck. So that truck's fucked.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he's probably not bringing it back.
Yeah. Like, did you see the look on James Caan's face when he was doing it? Because he looked like he was getting payback for what happened to Sonny at that point.
A little PTSD.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, God.
So they finish shooting the truck, open it up. Arnold's dead body's just like in there all fucked up, full of bullet holes and whatnot. Which would have been awesome. It was just like, oh my God, we got
credits.
him. Yeah, exactly. But while they're doing that, Vanessa Williams runs into the reptile house, which, come on, lady, like, he purposefully set up a meeting location with 6 different public exits, and she locks herself in the fucking one, like, with just a room.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah, that was Erica that pointed that out.
Like, she didn't know he was about to show up there in a tow truck to, like, start blasting.
I feel like even if you haven't seen the movie before, you kind of knew what was going to happen once they showed you that quick shot of the alligators in there.
Yeah.
So she locks the doors right before some of the bad dudes start breaking in and just start shooting all willy-nilly with absolutely no concern for the lives of those poor animals, by the way.
Yeah, but also fuck the alligators.
See, do you not like alligators?
No, they terrify me.
That's it. She's the same way. She's like, Erica.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so quick side note, like, the idea of sharks terrify me. They're also like fascinating but terrifying. Just like you're in the water and like they could just be there and just fucking eat you. It's weird. I don't know. I don't like it. The ocean is stupid. But I was going down to Florida about 3 years ago, and I was like, man, alligators. And by the way, I went to San Francisco State, and we're the San Francisco State Gators, which is really dumb. But it used to be the Golden Gators. Wow. Like the Golden Gate. But then they changed it to Gators. And so it's like, even though there's not an alligator anywhere close, and our mascot is like a anthropomorphic alligator named Al, middle initial E, last name Gator.
Gator?
Yeah, it's really dumb. Anyhow,
Was it a bridge before that when it was the Golden Gators?
well, no, it's just like the Golden Gate. That's the term for the area. That's why it's the Golden Gate Bridge. Anyhow, so I was going down to Florida to do some fishing, and I'm like, yeah, but there's like alligators. That's kind of weird. And then I was talking to a coworker of mine, and she said that one of her friends, or somebody she went to high school with, was like, her and her family were going down a river in, Africa or something. And she was like, had her finger out of the little boat on the top of the water, and I guess like I guess that'd be a crocodile, came up and like grabbed her by her hand and pulled her into the water, and that was like nothing they could do, like
Holy
with her whole
shit.
family there and everything. Like, that's fucking terrifying.
Damn.
So then I went to Florida and went to all these like little fishing spots. Was doing some like lake fishing, and there's just fucking alligators everywhere.
See, I've never seen one like that. It's always behind like a zoo thing. So maybe that's why. Because if I live in Florida, I'd be like, all right, fuck those.
Yeah. Well, my friends are like, yeah, just take like what you do is just take a stick and like put it in the water and like move it around and make sure nothing's around. I'm like, still. So I stood like 10 feet back from the shore. So every time I caught a fish, I could bring it up and have to make sure like an alligator is not going to come out and grab it out of there.
Yeah.
But there's just like random ass, like I was just fishing this lake that's basically like an apartment complex, and like little, how some of them got like grass things. There's just like a little lake in front of it, and there's just an alligator that lives there. And it was just, I would just watch it, and it was just like put his eyes up and then go swim around. And then some other dude came up and was fishing, and I was like, yeah, what's up with that? And she's like, she's fine. I leave her alone, she leaves me alone, like whatever. But it's just fucking weird. Like, you live in that apartment building, there's like kids and shit. It's like, hey, don't get too close to the lake because an alligator would come and eat you.
Yeah.
It's weird. And it's like every fucking lake in Florida. It's terrifying.
Wasn't there like a kid? I'm pretty sure there was a kid that got eaten in Disney World.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. Let me retract all that. That was what originally started that, because that happened right before I went to Florida. That's what got me thinking about it, and that's why I brought it up to a friend at work, and then she told me that story. So yeah, that's what started it. And
yeah, he got picked off by an alligator.
Yeah, just hanging out by the lake. But I mean, there's like lakes everywhere, like little fresh. I mean, it's basically a fucking swampland.
Yeah,
and there's just alligators in like all of them, and we're just like, yeah, as long as you stay out of the way, you'll be fine. But it's weird. Sometimes they just come out and hang out in the sun. Like, that thing could just come over and kill me right now and drag me underwater.
It's true.
And that's it.
I mean, you could shoot it in the face, I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why they have so many guns there.
Yeah, it's true. It's to defend the alligators. Okay, so Vanessa Williams starts shooting back at them as they're shooting at her. Just as she runs out of bullets, back door's kicked open. Arnold does his like a classic like jump through the air while shooting a gun while he dives at her.
Yeah, and somehow does a barrel roll.
He dives next to her, and she looks at him, and she says, "You're late." And he says,
"Traffic,"
which is just a good line. Like, I'm curious if like on the drive there he was trying to come up with a bunch of cool things he could say when he saw her. So he's like, okay, now if she says you're late, I'll maybe say flight was delayed. Ha, that's good. But no, wait, that won't make sense because unless I explain what happened with the plane, back to the drawing board.
Maybe she says, where have you been? Like, flying the friendly skies? No, that's dumb.
Yeah, just sitting there brainstorming stuff. So
it's like, I just work better off the cuff. I should just wait till I get there. And then I can just say it. It just comes out, Like, I'm not a guy who writes things down.
Have faith in yourself. Come on.
Yeah. I'm much better at improv comedy than I am at stand-up, I don't have a tight 5.
Improvisation. So Arnold tells her he only has 2 rounds left as Burnface and the rest of the goons kind of start closing in on them. So the fucking genius decides to shoot the alligator enclosure that the bad guys are standing in front of, which breaks, and then a shitload of water and alligators spill out. Bad dudes are knocked down by the water, basically eviscerated by like the horribly CGI'd alligators.
I guess his arm ripped off.
Yeah, exactly. One of them, he gets picked up by the mouth, and then starts thrashing him around as the guy's screaming while shooting his gun. The other gator comes up, grabs it, just rips his arm off. And then an alligator comes up to old Burnface, Burnface tries to back away. Alligator grabs him from behind, all Jurassic Park style. Guy's probably like, clever girl. It's just like chomping on his head. So Arnold and Vanessa Williams start running away. So the guy aims at them, but another gator grabs him by the gut, and the guy's just donezo. So as Arnie and V-Dubs are heading out the door, they see James Caan and his men just heading towards them. So they turn around. Suddenly, like some of the worst CGI until apparently the Scorpion King just lunges at them, misses them. Arnold points his gun at it, but the gator isn't having any of that shit and just whips the gun out of his hand with his tail. Or it lunges for Arnold, but he kicks it in the head and then throws a wooden stand at it. The gator catches the stand in its mouth, breaks it in half, and then starts running towards Arnold, who has reached the gun. He aims the gun at the alligator as it opens his mouth. I'm assuming to be tell Arnold how big of a fan he is of him, of his films or something. I don't know. But before the gator gets a chance to, Arnold shoots him right in the head and then probably says the most memorable line of the movie.
Your luggage.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty much, that whole alligator thing was like the thing I remembered most from this movie.
Yeah, same. I remember them advertising that too. I just thought it'd be funny if that alligator was just like a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. It's like, Arnold, hey, how's it going?
I loved you why am I doing an Arnold voice for an alligator?
That's why he's Austrian. He's an Austrian alligator.
I loved you in Conan the Barbarian. I'm also a barbarian.
A Gatarian. Okay. So right then, James Caan and his guys bust in the room and start shooting at them, but they manage to jump through the window and escape. Before we keep going, I have a couple of facts. So that was shot at an old abandoned zoo at Griffith Park, and I guess they just shipped the animals into the scene. You'll also be surprised to learn that those alligators weren't always real, and there was actually a little mixture of CGI in there.
Huh.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And I also swear that I read an interview, but I'm not sure, that the reason they look so bad was because they didn't have enough time to finish them and finish them a week before the movie was due. But I'm not sure if that's true or if I just made it up. So I couldn't find it once I got it in my head. So I might have read it and then didn't write down the source. And yeah.
It seems like good CGI for 1996.
Okay, so it's probably just me making stuff up.
Yeah, I'm basically just calling you a liar.
Yeah, okay, so. That's fine. Because I was like, should I write that down? I'm like, I'm just going to throw it in there just in case it happens. Someone's like, oh yeah, that is true. So back to the movie, Arnold and Vanessa Williams escape, and then an hour or so later, James Caan shows up in a chopper. And James Coburn shows up in the chopper. James Caan lies and tells him that Arnold's gone all commando, and then he terminated his crew, and then James Caan's like, I don't know.
He's like, he's not a barbarian. I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. He's like, I don't know. He's not a barbarian. I've known him since my son was in kindergarten. Cops like him just don't do this stuff.
Yeah, him and his twin.
Exactly. And then James Caan's like, well, if he is innocent, then why is he running, man?
Because you're chasing him.
And then so James Caan's like, if you say so, Junior. That's all I got for that. So then James Coburn asks what happened to Vanessa Williams, and James Caan just starts telling him a bunch of true lies about how she was shot one of his men and that she's working with Arnold. So
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a lie.
Exactly. So James Coburn tells him do whatever it takes to bring him in, just bring him in alive. Then he takes off again in the chopper.
Yeah, go. You guys can be Batman and Robin, and get him and stuff.
I can't think of it anymore. Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and James Caan's like, have you seen that guy? He's built like Hercules. How are we gonna find him here in New York? Yeah, that's crazy.
If I'm gonna fight him, I'm gonna start needing to pump some iron. Okay.
Yeah.
So it turns out that he and Vanessa Williams are hiding out in a church. Arnold busts out his flip phone to call James Coburn and tells him that James Caan is the mole inside their department. Coburn tells him that he has to come in, and Arnold is like, I have to protect my weakness, which I wrote down WEETNESS. My weakness. And that James Caan has been bought. So Coburn tells him that federal agents ID'd him as the shooter, and Arnold says that he'll get back to him when he has proof. He then tells Vanessa Williams that they're on their own and that they need some hard evidence. So she busts out the second copy of the disc she made, and she was supposed to give it to her newspaper lady friend. But Arnold's like, your news lady friend is dead.
Yeah, and earlier they mentioned one of the goons is like, they peeled her like an onion, which is disgusting.
Yes.
Also, that's Tamara Tooney. She's in Law and Order, like all of them.
Okay, I was like, I know the actress, but then I forgot to look her up. She's in Law and Order?
She's like the medical examiner.
Oh, okay. So she gets all sad for a second, but we know how little she cares about her friends. Daryl. So she's over in about 30 seconds. Arnold tells her that they need to read what's on the disc, and V-Dubs tells him, like, it's hacker-proof. The only way to access it is to go to Cyrez. So Arnold's like, let's do it. And then right then a priest comes in and tells him that the cops are gone. Says that Arnold once saved him and he owes him, so then he lets him borrow his car.
Yeah, and that has one of my favorite lines, which is, some of his Colombian associates wanted to introduce him to God personally, which is just a funny line.
But, okay, so later that night, they pull up to a nightclub, and then just in case you weren't sure whether or not it's a gay nightclub, from the two dudes outside dressed like Freddie Mercury, they make sure to beat you over the head with it by the fact that it's raining men inside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you ever been to a gay club?
No. Is that all they play? Just on a loop or what?
Pretty much that. Madonna.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. I just thought they were stereotyping, like, well, we got to show that it's a gay nightclub. Well, it's raining men. Duh.
All right, so I actually have, I would say a few thoughts, but it's more just one. As far as like an action movie, like a 90s action movie and like a gay club scene, this is like fantastic. There's not a lot of like,
like gay panic stuff.
Yeah, like gay panic or like this is gross or just like cheap jokes and shit. Like if you
there's not too there. Yeah,
like I mean, Arnold makes a couple like just to
like
razz the guy. Yeah, but that's because he's just like, don't tell him I'm straight.
Yeah,
I don't want to break any hearts. But as far as like 90s, even just fucking 90s movies in general, like when it comes to like gay stuff, this is not that bad. I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised. Like, I mean, if that scene came out now, like totally different story. But I mean, you look at like Ace Ventura.
Oh yeah.
And you watch it through the 2020 lens, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like, that's.
Well, I was gonna like start shitting on it for being gay bashing, and then they weren't really that bad, so I was like, okay, well, I can't really do that.
Yeah, you would expect them to be like gay bashing, but they don't really. I mean, it's not like if it came out now, different story. It's a little stereotypical, but for 24 years ago, you're like, all right.
True. So Arnold walks up to the bar, and who should happen to be bartending but our old friend Eldon from Murphy Brown, the guy that Arnold rescued at the beginning of the movie. So they start off with a couple of like little gay panicky jokes, but once they're done with that, Arnold tells Eldon that he needs his help. Eldon agrees, and then just leaves right in the middle of his busy bartending shift, like because you can do that.
I guess nobody who wrote this movie worked in a restaurant before. Also, after the mob guys found him somewhere in that same region, he's still in New York, Yeah. But he does say, like, no self-respect, or I think Arnold says, like, no self-respecting mobster would step foot in here. It's like, all right, yeah.
Wise guy. No self-respecting wise guy would step foot in here, huh?
Yeah. Also, there's a little continuity error with that. He, like, takes off his vest.
Yes, with the jacket.
Yeah.
Or the vest, yeah. Yeah, Erica noticed that.
Puts it back on, and then has it back on, and then takes it off again. So.
I'm curious if like the writers thought that It's Raining Men was like the gay equivalent of That's Amore for the Italians. Because they. Okay.
Yeah.
So Eldon drives as Arnold tells him that they want to break into Cyrez, and Eldon basically says that it's impossible without a small army. Arnold's like, all we need are these, and he hands them Alka-Seltzer. And then Arnold tells him that he'll meet up with them later as they drop him off from the hospital. The next day, James Caan meets up with Undersecretary Harper and Chuck from Cyrez, who demand to know what's going on. James Caan tells him he'll have the situation contained within 24 hours, but Underwater Secretary Harper tells him, he's like, that's not good enough. And James Caan is like, basically like, yo, you have a problem, I'll solve it. And then tells him that he'll cancel the next gun shipment.
Yeah, and also check out the hook by his DJ revolves it.
Exactly. I was curious if you catch that. Because that's what it sounded like. He's like, hey, you have a problem? And I was like, yeah, well, I'll solve it. But Chuck from Cyrez tells him that it's not an option to cancel the shipment because it's already been paid for. It needs to be sent out tonight. James Caan asks James Caan what the plan is, so James Caan tells him that Arnold is going to show up to Cyrez to find out what's on the disc, and when he does, he'll be waiting for him. And then Underwear Secretary Harper tells him he wants everything taken care of by dawn or else. So later we see James Caan and Chuck from Cyrez in the security room at Cyrez. Chuck introduces James Caan to Cyrez as head of security, who tells him the place is under surveillance. James Caan basically tells him that Arnold is awesome and that he'll find a way in. And then Chuck tells him that the disc can only be run from the terminal in the central vault. So James Caan just kind of watches the monitor and waits.
Which bad job, security guy.
Yeah. Back down in the lobby, Eldon from Murphy Brown walks into the building dressed as a pizza delivery guy and tells the security guard that stops him that he has a delivery from the 14th floor. The security guard tells him to fuck off, but Eldon's like, hey, if I don't deliver this pizza while it's hot, I have to pay for it. So some more security guards grab him, pin him to the wall, and while they're frisking him, Eldon secretly eats the Alka-Seltzer tablet that Arnold gave him. This causes him to start foaming at the mouth. He pretends to have a seizure. James Caan and Chuck see him on the ground. Chuck radios the guard to take him to the infirmary, calls the ambulance, they put him on the gurney, and then roll him the hell out of there. So then next we see an ambulance roll up to the security booth, and what do you know? It's Arnold and Vanessa Williams, who must have somehow intercepted the 911 call.
Yeah. There's no other ambulance that shows up.
So they drive up to the building, unload their stuff, and head inside. Meanwhile, good old Eldon is in the infirmary with what might be the stupidest fucking doctors in any movie I've ever seen.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they only said that because Eldon accidentally disconnects his wire to his heart monitor, so it reads like it's flatlining and makes that beep noise. The doctors immediately begin freaking out. One of them grabs a defibrillator, begins using it on him, even though he's obviously moving around and talking to them before they put something on his mouth so he won't bite down on his tongue as they're shocking him. So the doctor prepares the defibrillator pads. Eldon begins desperately shaking his head no, and yelling as loud as he can with the thing in his mouth. But the fucking doctor begins to shock him anyway. And then the look on her face while she's doing it made me think that she kind of gets off on it a little bit too. And then, so just as this sadistic fucking doctor is about to shock him for the third time, Arnold busts in the room with a gun and tells her to cut that shit off. Unstraps Eldon, who is understandably pissed, and then tells him to tie everyone up and secure the room while they go run the disc. Back in the security room, one of the computer guys calls James Caan over and tells him that they're running the disc. The head of security guy says that it's impossible because no one has entered the room, and James Caan's like, well, he must have found another way. And then they head to the vault. When they get there, Chuck punches in the security code to open the vault, but it doesn't work. He tries again, still nothing, so James Caan gets all impatient, shoots the lock off with the shotgun, which what's the point of having a vault with a security lock if you can shoot it open with a gun?
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
Yeah. But... I can't really talk because all my money's in a sock under my mattress, but,
Oh, really? Interesting.
So they enter the vault, find it empty, and the computer guy tells them that they must be running the disc from a remote terminal somewhere in the building. So James Caan tells Chuck he better find them now or he's going to shoot him in the dick. Unfortunately, before he gets a chance to, the computer guy says he should be able to trace which computer they're using. So James Caan's sweet bro, do it, and tells one of his men to get the chopper ready. Upstairs, Arnold and Vanessa Williams are in James Cromwell's office, which is still taped off from when he capped himself earlier. And apparently Farmer Hoggett left himself a back door so he could access the vault terminal stuff with his own computer. They find out that Cyrez is selling 1,000 railguns to the head of Russian cartel for $52 million, which was probably like $1 gajillion in 1996.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Yeah. But anywho, the exchange is going to happen at the Baltimore docks at midnight. The computer guy finds out which room they're in and then erases the goddamn disc. And the security breaks in the room. Arnold shoots one of them, begins fighting with the other one as the elevator dings. The doors open to reveal it's full of guards. They immediately begin shooting. Arnold uses the guard he was fighting as a human shield and then pulls the pin from the grenades attached to the guard's vest and then kicks him in the elevator full of guards.
And it blows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this scene really annoyed me for one reason. The first guy that comes in, Arnold takes a chair and chucks it at him.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know, this is some oversight. Maybe they overthought it or something. Arnold does not say, "Here, have a seat," when he throws the chair at him.
Oh, that is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's just kind of this movie would be so much better if it was just stupid shit like that. Like, you don't have to like write your movie in order to throw in the one-liners, but that's already in there.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You already like your luggage is in there, like you're late traffic, but like here, have a seat, and he chucks the fucking chair at a guy.
It just seems so obvious now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, although now that I say it out loud, I feel like that was in another movie. We'll get back to that.
Okay. He uses the guy as a human shield, pulls the pins. He grabs Vanessa Williams. He's like, come on. And they begin running it. And then the elevator full of guards explodes. And all I could think of was like that poor janitor that probably had to clean up all that shit later. But Arnold and Vanessa don't get too far before more security starts shooting at him. So Arnold tells her that he'll cover her and to head down to the ambulance. As she runs away, the building starts going into security lockdown, and those big-ass bulletproof glass doors start coming down to section off the building, which separates them just as James Caan grabs her. Arnold and James Caan immediately begin shooting at each other through the glass security door, and it seriously took them emptying their clips, and then Arnold looking at his gun all confused before these two seasoned FBI agents realize that they're shooting at bulletproof glass.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, where did these bullets go?
Yeah, what happens when with bulletproof glass?
I would imagine it ricochets somewhere, but
yeah, true. So James Caan basically is like kind of gives him like a neener before taking off with Vanessa Williams. Arnold looks around, sees a fire sprinkler, shoots it, which triggers a fire alarm, lifts the security doors. He runs after him, but he's too late and gets to the roof just as James Caan and Vanessa Williams take off in the chopper. So even though they don't show it, Arnold and Eldon are somehow able to get out of the building in the same fucking ambulance they drove up in, even though their covers were blown, which I feel like would have been a great scene, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, they drive the ambulance back to the car, and Eldon says that he can get them to Baltimore in 40 minutes. Arnold tells him it's not your fight, and that he's going alone. Then Arnold's like, come on, I'd be dead if it wasn't for you, I owe you. And then he tells him that his cousin Tony runs the docks, and he can help him find the ship. Arnold's like, all right, come on, little fella. Like, gives him like a nod. So Eldon hops in the car, and they head to Baltimore.
Okay, so a few things about this. One, were they talking about anything before they got there? Or was like Arnold just like, this is what's going to happen, and when he gets there, he's like, no, you're not going. Because this happens in movies a lot. They're like, all right, you see people like driving up like, all right, guys, here's the plan. It's like, what the fuck were you guys talking about for the past hour when you were driving there? Just like listening to the radio or a podcast or something. Maybe they're listening to Welcome to the Potty, which in that case, I can't blame them.
They're getting caught up.
Yeah, exactly. Also, as a big Wire fan, just the Baltimore docks, got my dick hard. So
yeah, that's my favorite season right there, even though nobody likes it.
Yeah, it's very polarizing. Like either it's like people love it or people hate it. And
I really like that season. Frank Sabatka, I think.
Yeah. I did see a movie, or we did watch Face Off last night, and he was in that one.
Who is he in that?
When Nick Cage is escaping the weird prison, he's the guy that helps him. Or he like fights him in the beginning. Also,
wait, isn't he like a Russian or something?
No, he's just a crazy dude.
Oh, okay.
Also, Bunny Colvin was in it as well. That was John Travolta's like right hand man, but then Nick Cage, Bunny, like he's he's mainly in season 3 and 4. He runs the Western District. He sets up Amsterdam, and then gets fired for it.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay.
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimball have to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
I had to pee, and then Erica looked at me. She's like with like a "What are you doing?" kind of look, and I was holding my wiener shut, Which the first time she saw me do that, she's like, "Does that work?" I was like, "For like a couple minutes,"
Yeah.
And then it's just bust through. It does. It works for like a couple minutes. Have you done that? I'm assuming.
I mean, that's something you do as a kid.
Yeah. Well, apparently I'm doing it again.
My friend was telling me that he was like met up with some chick and he was having sex with her, but he didn't want to come yet, so he like pulled out and tries to like squeeze his dick in order to like not come.
Yeah.
And then like tilted it up and like looked at it and then let go and like shot himself in the face.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, and that sounds like as good a spot to stop as any. So this will be the end of part 1 of our summary for Eraser. Be sure to check out part 2, which was released at the same time as this. So yeah, check it out. Erica ends up joining us at the end, and we discuss some details about the one of the actors from the movie. Anyway, I guess we'll
See you at the party, Richter.